Hello and welcome to this power-themed 15 minutes Pilates class. We're going to start on our backs. We're going to be exploring quite a few different muscle groups today. The back, our glutes, our arms. So hopefully by the end of this class you will feel like you've had a full body class which has made you feel just that little bit stronger by the end. Let's start on our backs in a glute bridge series. So placing your feet onto the ground, your knees are pointing up towards the ceiling. We're going to press our arms into the ground, shoulder blades flattening down into the mat. We're going to start by taking a breath in here. On the breath out, spread your toes out wide, start tipping your pelvis, flatten your back into the mat. And by pressing into your feet, we're going to start lifting up into our glute bridge. We're not going so high that we feel extension and arching through the back. We want to think about keeping that tuck of the tailbone into our glute bridge position. We're going to lower ourselves down, nice and slow. Take a breath in, breath out, pressing through the feet, squeezing through the glutes, moving intentionally, keeping your core engaged to support your back as you come into your high glute bridge, and then lower yourself down. Let's go for 3 more, pressing through the feet, squeezing the glutes, and then lowering down. Let's go for 2, pressing up, and then lower down. Last time, we're going to come all the way up, hold it here for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then lower yourself down. Great work. Give your body a little bit of a wiggle. We're going to be adding in some single leg moves. If you tend to experience quite a lot of cramping up through the glutes and hamstrings in your glute bridge, take things easy, take as many breaks as you want to. So back into our stable position here, feet flat on the ground, take a breath in. We're going to breathe out, start lifting up through our back to come into our glute bridge. You're welcome to bring your feet in a little bit closer for a bit more support. Squeeze in the glutes, you're going to lift one leg up into tabletop. You're then going to bring it down, keeping the hips level as you transfer over to the other side. Really use the supporting foot as your base of support, as well as pressing into your arms as your anchor points. As you lift up, bring down, lift and lower. Again, make that transition, that transfer as still and smooth as possible. Good, let's add some breath work. Breathing out to lift, breathing in to lower, out to lift, in to lower, out to lift, in to lower. Last time we're staying with that first leg. We're dipping the hips, pressing back up. I'm going to push my foot a little bit away. Dip and lift. So we're generating the move through the supporting leg. So we're squeezing through the glutes and hamstrings to lift our hips up. But we're making sure that we're staying level and steady through our hips the whole time. Lift and lower, 2 more. 2 and 1. We're staying lifted. We're reaching the leg away, bending it back in. And again, reach and bend. Here for 3 and 2 and 1. Leg is long. We lift up, lower down. You don't need to go low with the leg as long as you're keeping your core engaged, your back nice and still. Press through the arms for that extra little bit of help. 2 and 1. Keep the leg lifted back into our hip dips. Lower, press up, lower, press. 3 and 2 and 1. Bring the foot down. We're lowering down bit by bit through the spine. Bring your knees into your chest. We're going to repeat the whole series on the other side. So when you're ready, feet back down onto the ground, press your hands into the floor. We're starting off taking a breath in, breath out. We lift up nice and slow. We're going to lift the other leg up into tabletop, keeping it there, dipping the hips, press through the foot to lift back up. Imagine you've got champagne glass balancing on the knee that is staying still. You really want to preserve that stillness through the leg to help keep your hips nice and level. Dip, lift, dip, lift. Here for 3 and 2 and 1. Stay high, reaching away. Back into tabletop. Reach, tabletop, reach, tabletop. Keep the collarbones wide, core is engaged, trying to make that space between rib cage and hips as small as possible. So you do need to do just a little bit of a tip through the pelvis. We're keeping the leg long, we're lowering it down, lifting it up, lower, lift, the hips staying still. We're moving with intention, with power. Lift and lower, 2 more. Last time, we're keeping the leg lifted into our final hip dip set. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Squeeze the glute, work through the hamstring. And 2, 1. Drop that foot down, lower yourself down into the mat. Give your knees a lovely big hug here. Great work. We're going to come onto our sides. So when you're ready, turning over, we're placing our elbow underneath our shoulder. We're going to bring our knees just a little bit more forwards than our line between our shoulders and hips. So we're not in one total straight line, just bring them a little bit forwards. The whole time through the series, I want you to think about height here, so space between the floor and your underside. So you're going to have to engage through the obliques. We're bringing our hand behind our head. We're starting off with a couple of side plank moves. So we're lifting up, lower down, keeping space between your shoulder and your earlobe the same the whole time. Lift and lower. Let's breathe out to lift. Into low. Keep your core engaged. No twisting through the body. Shoulders and hips are facing forwards. And 2. And 1. Stay lifted. We're reaching the leg long, bringing it back underneath. Reach long, underneath, long, back. 2. 1. Keeping that leg long. We're lifting, lowering it down. Lift, lower. Long through the whole body here, from the crown of the head to the toes. Lower. 2. 1. Keep the leg lifted. We're dipping the hips. Press back up. We're trying to reach that leg away from us at all points. Reach, dip, reach. We're here for 2. And 1, we're holding it. 5, 4, lift the leg a bit higher. 3, 2, 1, drop the leg down. Bring yourself all the way down. We're going to transfer over to the other side. Roll out through the shoulder that we've just worked through. And when you're ready, down onto your side. So, elbow underneath the shoulder, knees ever so slightly in front of us, engaging through the core, the obliques lifting up, hips and shoulders facing forwards, hand behind the head. We're starting up and then coming down. Lift, lower, lift, lower. Again, keeping that space between shoulder and ear as big as possible. Whew. Let's keep going. And 3, 2, 1, staying lifted. We're reaching the leg away, bringing it back. And reach, tap the floor, bring it back. Reach and back. Shoulders and hips facing forwards. If you're starting to experience strain through the neck, you're welcome to face your head down to the floor. 2, 1, we're lifting and lowering. Hips are staying still and steady. We're keeping the obliques engagement as we lift and lower. 3, 2, 1. Keep that leg lifted. We're dipping the hips back up. Dip, up. This is a full body move. You should be feeling it through your obliques, your glutes, the shoulder girdle. 2 more. Last time. Hold for 5. Lift a little bit higher. 4, 3, 2, 1. All the body shakes. Drop the hips down. Start circling out through that shoulder joint. We're going to come into a 4-point kneeling position. So when you're ready, onto hands and knees, turning our body so it's facing down towards the mat. We're going to be working through our posterior chain, so back, glutes and hamstrings. We're actually going to come down onto our forearms for this one. So elbows underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the waist, core is engaged, back in neutral, set those shoulder blades down. We're reaching the leg long, we're going to start lifting it up, lowering down. Lift, lower, long from the crown of the head all the way down to the toes. So when you've got the hang of the move, bring your head in line with your spine, tuck your chin in, keep the breath going. Great. 2, 1, flex the foot, pulsing up and down, tiny little pulses here. Long through the spine, make sure you're not breaking the neutral line through your back. Really generating this pulse from the glutes and hamstrings. 2, 1, keep the foot flexed, we're bending, pressing through. Bend, reach away, long through the heel. Try and not let your weight shift forwards or back. We're keeping our weight evenly distributed between our 3 anchor points here. Keep the knee bent, we're pulsing up and down, tiny little donkey kicks. The pulse, again, is generated from that smile area underneath your bottom cheek. We're here for 3, 2, 1. Bring that leg down. We're coming into a child's pose, so when you're ready, reaching out long, taking a couple of seconds here. And then back onto our forearms. So, resetting here, we're going to start by reaching the leg along behind. We're starting lifting and lowering. Again, making sure that we're not shifting our weight. Hips and shoulders facing down towards the floor, chest lifted away from the floor. Core is engaged to help maintain the posture throughout this move. Long through the toes. 3, 2, and 1. Keep it lifted, flex the foot, pulsing up and down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're bending, pressing away, and bend. Press. So it's as if the thigh isn't moving. We're keeping our hips facing down towards the floor, pressing through our heel. 2, 1. Lifting the heel up. We're pulsing up and down. Great. Keep the chest lifted. Not here for long. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring that knee down. Back into our child's pose for a mini break. We're going to finish off with a press-up variation. So we're going to come up onto hands and knees. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the waist. Your fingers are facing towards the end of the mat. I want you to turn the creases of the elbows towards the front of the mat as well. Rolling the shoulders back. Core staying engaged, back in your neutral. We're going to start in our tricep press-ups. So we're bending the elbows so they come more or less nice and parallel, pointing towards your knees. And bend. And lift. So the back isn't changing its shape. The only thing that's moving here are our elbows, so that our body is just going with the move here without changing its posture. Whew, let's go for 2. And 1, staying halfway point, pulsing up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pressing out. Reaching out long, child's pose, roll out through the wrists. We're going to change the hand position up. So we started off with our hands parallel to each other. We're going to turn the wrists just ever so slightly outwards so that you can imagine tracing a nice big triangle between your hands and the fingers there. So going from parallel, twisting the wrists out ever so slightly. We're keeping our hands underneath our shoulders. This time we're going to press a little bit more into our chest muscles, our pecs. You want your elbows to follow the line of your middle finger. Let's go. Taking a breath in, core engaged, back long and in neutral. We're bending down and lift, bend, lift, bend, lift. Obviously, if you want to slow the movement down, you're very welcome to. Just watch out again. Your elbows are following the line of your middle finger. Core staying engaged. This should feel a little bit easier than your triceps press up. We're going to hold in this halfway point, start pulsing up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it here. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lifting up. Bringing your hands forwards, rolling out through the wrists. We've got one final move here. Really, really well done. If you want to make things harder, you're obviously welcome at any point to come into a full plank or a modified plank position. I'm going to stay in this position for the purposes of demonstrating things as accurately as possible. We're now making a triangle shape with our hands. Again, the elbows are going to follow the line of your middle finger. Rolling the shoulders back, here we go. So we're starting to tap a little bit more into triceps, still working through our pecs, still working through the whole of the back, keeping those shoulders low. Breathe in to lift, breathe out to lower. This is our final move, you'll be very glad to hear. We're holding in this halfway point, pulses up and down. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're all done. Big hooray. Open the knees out wide. Drop yourself down. Roll out through your wrists. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed this power-based series. Please take a few minutes to stretch out using the cool down stretch video, and I'll see you in the next class. Thanks again.